name is Brad.
Your name is what? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to bring my microphone over here so y'all can hear me. Hey, it's the Brushfire Mind. It's Friday morning. I mean, it's time to talk about firearms. And y'all, we've had some developments. So, I know you're here for the DRTs and the DO. Well, we've got us a DOT, which is not quite the same as the quality of justice that we try to bring you every week, but it's a step in the right direction. So, Houston, Texas. A homeowner shot one of two intruders breaking into his house in North Houston Saturday, according to authorities. Police say the man heard the suspects breaking into his home on Courtshire near Rittenhouse around 12:15 a.m. According to the police, the homeowner shot one intruder several times, but the other suspect ran away. The suspect who was shot died hours later. So that's a DOT. We call it a DOT because he's dead over there.
Over there.
Not right there.
Yeah, man,
it's not like when Cameron ended up as a plate of spilled SpaghettiOs in my front yard on that fantastic film that, by the way, I deeply appreciate all the support and positive feedback and just the crapload of people that have watched the SpaghettiOs film. That has been the incentive that we need to develop more films in that same genre. So be on the lookout for more short films with the
Subscribe Star?
SpaghettiOs tag. Subscribe Star is a work in progress. We are still in the midst of a verification process. In fact, Cameron, if you want to pick up on some stuff that we were talking about, I can look that up right now and see where we are.
Well, no, that's fine. We can deal with that later. I just wish we had a true DRT. I feel like we're letting this segment down by not having like a full bore, honest to God DRT, because really, them's the best. They really are. I wish I had a magic wand I could wave, and there would just be a DRT.
Your profile is still under review.
Well, that's another thing I wish I had a magic wand for.
Yeah, apparently there's some stuff I can do to expedite it, so I'll get back to that later.
But yeah, pity.
So, for the rest of this show, I'm going to shut down the screen share because I'm going to be reading straight off of the Facebook page, and I'm going to protect the names of people. But we've got a little something we need to talk about. So, Rockdale County, where I live, is hosting a gun buyback tomorrow morning, and I will be there. I will be there with my pork pie hat and my White House press badge on, and I'm going to ask some questions. I'm going to ask as many people as I can precisely two questions. First, I'm going to ask the question, why are you supporting the gun buyback? And I'm not going to be an asshole. I'm not going to be there and jump up and down and Molon Labe a bunch of people. I'm going to ask careful questions. Two of them. The first question I'm asking, why do you support the buyback? Why are you here to sell your gun? Right? Why do you support gun buybacks? Because invariably, the answer to that question is going to be some version of because we have a problem, we have a violence problem in this country, we have a gun crime violence in this country, a gun crime violence problem in this country, and I'm doing my part to cut down on gun violence by helping to get guns off the streets and out of the hands of criminals. It's going to be some combination, some flavor of that answer. But the key takeaways here are that the person believes that selling their firearm means that there are fewer firearms that are dangerous and going to cause gun crime or be involved in gun crime. And that somehow this person selling their firearm helps to get firearms out of the hands of criminals. Now, given that we are in Rockdale County, where Quite recently, we had a bit of a hoopla when a Rockdale County Sheriff's Office sergeant stole 43 guns out of evidence and was not fired, but rather transferred to the jail. Uh,
Did those guns get bought back?
ha, 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 transferred to the jail? Don't you mean he was incarcerated in the jail? No, in fact, that's not what we mean. We just
Hell
moved
of a
him.
transfer.
We just moved him somewhere else. Didn't place him on administrative leave, anything like that. Now, this is an older article. I haven't looked into the follow up. There hasn't been a whole lot of follow up reporting, but that's pretty substantial.
Oh wow, that's the loser.
That's the dude.
Man, when you think about because everything has a stereotype, everything does. And when you think about the stereotypical asshole cop, God,
That's him.
His face and his body type, for that matter.
Now, as y'all may remember, some weeks ago, we did a show, a Friday show, where we talked about an occurrence in Rockdale County. It was right down the street from my house. There were 5 young men. 3 of them were killed. Well, these young men approached a homeowner in the wee hours of the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. The homeowner was in his front yard. You know, I don't know if he was coming home from the gym, he just got home from work, if he was getting ready to leave for work, whatever. Homeowner's in his front yard at 4 o'clock in the morning. And 5 young men approached him wearing masks,
Brandishing a weapon.
produced a firearm, opened fire on the homeowner. They shot first. The homeowner returned fire, killing 3 of them, with 2 of them running away. In the Rockdale County Sheriff's Office post, he says, one of the homicides that I am referring to includes the 3 young men that were killed last month during the commission of a crime. This post has been edited. Originally, the post said, one of the murders that I am referring to include the 3 young men that were killed last month during the commission of a crime. I know, my grammar sounds terrible as I read this sentence, but I'm reading it verbatim off the page. That's how it's written. But one of the murders that I'm referring to included the 3 young men that were killed last month during the commission of a crime, in which one of them was in possession of an illegal gun. Well, whoever the media manager is went back and corrected that comment, posted a correction. Please excuse my term. Let me explain. And here it is. I said murder. I'm highlighting it like you can see it. I'm intentionally not showing the Facebook page because there are people's names here, and that, okay, they posted on Facebook. Their names and their comments are technically public domain, but that's a shade too close enough to doxing that I'm not comfortable with it, because in my opinion, every case of doxing is a case of intentional doxing is attempted murder. Unintentional doxing should be treated like high risk negligence. Please excuse my term. Let me explain. I said murder because I was referring to our count, or we use the UCR, Uniform Crime Reporting. In this case, they did not list this as a murder. It is, however, still be listed as a crime. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm reading it verbatim. It is, however, still be listed as a crime. It will show the 3 young men committed aggravated assault by firing a weapon at the homeowner. When I used the term murder, I did not mean it in the sense that you think, but in the sense of a count. It is a homicide. Homicides are criminal, excusable, or justified.
Hey, I have been totally convinced I was right about something, and I've also been kind of drunk and posted on Facebook, and that's how my posts tend to come out when I.
We lost Cameron. Well, while we're without Cameron, there have been some criticisms of that justification, of that rewording. It looks like the computer is trying to reconnect to Cameron. Hopefully we'll get him back in a minute. And then the sheriff's office puts out this response. I know for some of you, in all capitals, it will not matter what is done. You will still find something wrong. I have a few posts here in response to that. And so I said, Rockdale County Sheriff's Office. It absolutely matters what is done. By suggesting that the lawful self-defense of a citizen is the same as murder, you seem to seek to criminalize such self-defense. This is an effort to the Constitution. Now I'm not reading from the page. I'm just stumbling over my own floppy tongue. Hold on a second. Oh dear. Okay, are we back online?
Did we lose the live feed, or was that just me?
No, we just lost you, but then when the call disconnected, we also lost me. Sorry about that, guys. We had a little technical hiccup there. We're back, though. I can see that we're back streaming, and we just froze, and we're back.
That's suspicious.
So I said to that Rockdale County Sheriff's Office, it absolutely matters what is done. By suggesting that the lawful self-defense of a citizen is the same as murder, you seem to seek to criminalize such self-defense. This is an affront to the constitutionally protected right to keep and bear arms, as well as the checks and balances that prevent you from legislating. It is not your place to create law, which is what occurs when you interpret it so broadly as to redefine it. As with the unlawful false accusations made by calling this homeowner a murderer, we must not forget that, no matter how tragic the loss of 3 young lives may be, in the case referenced above, it is the homeowner who was attacked by armed masked men, with clear malicious intent, that is the victim of violent crime. The assailants fired first, and the homeowner returned fire according to your statements explicitly. Don't be so crass as to conflate finding your flippant accusation of murder against the victim of a violent crime with some commenters still finding something wrong. You need to issue a full-throated correction of this heinous misstatement. Also, I assume that it is not the sheriff himself making these posts and comments. And in quotes, I know for some of you, big capital letters, it will not matter what is done. You will still find something wrong. I will repost to the main thread so you can make your same comments. Well, given that assumption that it is not the sheriff himself making these posts and comments, I ask, will there be any hold to account for this clearly biased and insulting comment coming from your office? I would like to know who is making these statements and what will be done to correct this clear professional shortcoming.
So, real quick, did you hear my thing about the
Nope.
drunk, self-righteous Facebook posting? Nope. I just died, huh?
Just went away.
Yeah, that was sad. Because what I was saying was that there have been times in the past where I have posted things I was sure that I was right about on Facebook, and I happened to also do that while I was intoxicated, and that's kind of how my posts come out. I'm not saying that the Rockdale County Sheriff was drunk while he was on Facebook, but, I don't want to believe that he just sucks at the English. Like, that wouldn't be good.
Oh, like I said, I don't think it's Eric that sucks at the English. I think he has a media manager that sucks at the English. At least I hope that's the case.
And honestly, I don't know if that makes it better or worse.
Now, it's also pointed out, he also makes the claim, the sheriff's office makes the claim that it will not be taxpayer money that is used for the buyback. And so I'm going to read you another one of my posts off of this. Can you think, because it details a few of these things, and there's one commenter that says the only ones to complain about gun buyback is criminals. No matter what their social status is, a law-abiding citizens know that we have a problem with guns being in the wrong hands. It has nothing to do with your amendments. Buy the guns back, Sheriff. I'll donate to the cause. I responded to this poster. Can you think of no reason law-abiding citizens would oppose a buyback? This buyback is voluntary. That's fair. I'll give you that. However, 1, it's a no questions asked buyback. That means there is now a government-funded incentive for criminals to steal guns and turn them in. 2, no questions asked offers a useful defense for any murderer to use this buyback as a way to render their murder weapon inadmissible as evidence in the eventuality of their trial. 3, that there is a buyback at all is tantamount to the assertion that there is something wrong with owning a firearm to begin with. 4, all capital is fungible. Ergo, it is not possible for a tax-funded entity of any sort to spend non-tax-generated capital in any capacity. Your assertion that only criminals would complain about something so patently unlawful and abusive of the office as this is deeply hurtful to those of us who have worked to secure your liberties from the enemies of these United States and her glorious Constitution. This is doubly true given that we are in an election year during which the candidates of the party organizing this event are actually and actively running on mandatory surrender and confiscation of firearms at the federal level.
How dare you? How dare you? Hey, seriously though, I mean, like, what are they doing? Having a bake sale?
It's a gun buyback. It's a gun buyback.
No, I'm saying, as far as how they're going to pay for it. Like, I mean, did they have like family fun day at $5 a head?
Yeah, that's another thing about this. Many posters. This has been an absolute social media disaster for the sheriff. And part of that is they make the assertion that no taxpayer money will be used. I mean, this isn't even the original statement. This is a responsive statement. First, I'd like to be clear on the assumptions, speculations, and misleading information from those with a motive. I am not or will not be using taxpayer money for this gun buyback event.
Okay.
Oh?
Then whose money are you going to use? Are you going to use, like, your paycheck?
And we've asked the question. Many of us have asked the question in this thread and other threads. Well, then where's the money coming from? There has been no answer. There has been no answer on where the money's coming from.
Yeah, because it's coming from taxes. Like, man, there's something to be said about electing your sheriff that's positive. Yeah, but there's also something to be said about electing your sheriff that's negative, because, God, he stopped being a cop and turned into a politician real quick, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
No. It looks like I'm using taxpayer money, but I'm not using taxpayer money. Okay, cool. Just answer one question for me. Why does it look like you're using taxpayer money? Crickets. I mean, so just real quick, I want to divert. I want to tell you my personal biggest problem with gun buybacks. It's calling them buybacks. And here's why. You can't buy back a thing you never owned in the first place.
That's correct.
You can't. This is one of those things that, I mean, this is like a neuro-linguistic propaganda programming. Like, this is what this is. The government's not buying a damn thing back. The government is, this could actually be more closely compared to a voluntary form of eminent domain, because the government is taking something from you and giving you financial compensation for it. And kind of similar to eminent domain, like what are they doing? Like $75 for rifles and $50 for handguns?
Yes. $50 for handguns and $75 for long arms.
I wish I could get handguns for $50 a pop.
Right. Well, come on down. You can get them for $60.
Yeah, I mean, like, seriously. Honestly, you know what we should do? And obviously we can't, but I'd love to set up a booth outside that's like, nah, give us your pistol for $75 and give us your rifle for $100.
Honestly, I don't see why you couldn't.
Please believe that Mr. Corrupt Sheriff would bust that up in a hurry. He'd find some statute that says you need a permit or a peddler's license or something like that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that would happen immediately. Like, but you can't.
That'd be hard to argue because you're talking about setting up a booth and buying the guns. You're not talking about selling them.
Yeah, and this is coming from the same sheriff that says that they're not going to use taxpayer money. You don't think he'd find some obscure law and deliberately twist it to suit his purposes?
I'm sure.
Yeah, hard to argue. Doesn't mean he wouldn't argue it. But no, not only is the buyback a lie, it is not a buyback. It's a surrender program at best. But the other problem is this normalizes the idea that the government is allowed to just confiscate weapons. And the government is not allowed to confiscate weapons unless you have already committed other crimes. If you're a felon and you get arrested and you're found in a court of law by a jury of your peers to have committed a crime, well, then you can be deprived of rights. You can be sent to jail. You can be forced to pay fines. And yes, you can have your firearms taken away from you.
That's
but
correct.
there's that whole thing about the right to a trial and a jury of your peers and all this other kind of stuff. This is a really sneaky way of subtly normalizing the idea that the cops, the quote unquote good guys, and I do mean that I believe most cops are good guys. Don't misunderstand. But an authority figure is allowed to circumnavigate that entire process and just go, no. We're just going to deprive you of one of your rights or privileges or whatever without having a middleman, as there is supposed to be. Because make no mistake, there's supposed to be a judge. There's supposed to be a jury. There's supposed to be a district attorney. There's supposed to be a defense attorney. That's all supposed to be part of this process before you're deprived of rights. Well, it's sort of like that old argument about, oh, one day the government's going to put chips in all of us so they can track all our movements. Well, turns out, no, the government didn't have to do that. We do it voluntarily, carrying around our cell phones because, well, cell phones are nice. They make us happy. And, gun buybacks, they give us all the feels and the fuzzies. And in a very similar way, you're voluntarily surrendering your personal authority as a human being to the government. So, gun buyback. As much as I think Beta O'Cuck is just absolute trash, at least he was honest. At least he said what the end game was. Didn't try and hide it. But stuff like this, God, it frosts me. It frosts me hard because it's bullshit from the floor up. We're going to give something this nice, pretty sounding name so that it sounds like a good idea. And this is what government does at every level, from the federal level all the way down to your state and local municipalities. We'll give things these fantastic names. I don't know, like we'll create the Department of Energy. And how much energy does the Department of Energy create? Freaking zero. Or
how much education does the Department of Education create?
Oh, don't even get me started on
that. It's a negative number. Spoiler.
Yeah. Or even the Affordable Care Act. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. We can all get behind the Affordable Care Act. Let's make healthcare more affordable. And your deductibles doubled and your premiums tripled. How's that more affordable again? Nope. And that's exactly what this is. Oh, it's a gun buyback. See, participate. Do your community some good. No. You should mock and scorn gun buybacks. If you want to get rid of your gun that badly, send me a message in the comments. I'll get you my address. I'll help you get rid of it. No problem. But in all seriousness, you don't have to give it to a sheriff. You really don't. I mean, you could just take a hammer to it, and it's not a functioning gun anymore.
There was a gun buyback not too long ago where they made the mistake of saying any gun in any condition, and some smartass showed up with a bunch of uh,
Homemade single shot
homemade
shotguns.
single-shot shotguns, looked like something you'd find in the wasteland in Fallout, and demanded, and they had to because they said any gun in any condition. So he came and sold him a bunch of garbage guns that he made himself in his garage.
For probably like $25 a piece, and they handed him $100 per.
The very madman.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do a special report on this tomorrow. I'll be at the gun buyback. Um, like I said, pork pie hat and White House press pass, and I'm just gonna
Dude,
ask the questions.
I'm looking forward to that, but I'm still distracted. I'm still sad that all we had was a DOT and not a DRT.
A what? A what? A what?
DRT.
A what? A what? Oh! 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 What's that?
Yay! Oh, oh, is this DRT? No, I don't. That's okay.
There's a little confusion here because I'm no longer sharing the screen with Cameron. After our little debacle earlier, he lost the thread. There it is. Suspect killed, resident wounded, in home invasion in Northwest Ohio. So, police say a suspect in a home invasion was shot and killed during a struggle with a resident inside the house. According to reports, the unidentified homeowner also was shot during the struggle Saturday night. He was treated and released at Pro Medica Fostoria Community Hospital. A woman inside the home was not injured. Okay. I want to say this about this. This article reminds me of something interesting that I'd like to talk about for just a second. And I do mean just a second because we're creeping up on a half an hour and it's nearly 7:15, which means it's time to shit and get off the pot. There is a myth that is perpetrated by the enemy left that if you own a firearm, you are more likely to have that gun used on you than you are to use that gun for self-defense.
And it's a myth. It's Hercules.
Let me ask this question. If it were the case that more people were being killed with their own guns in a country where a far left media that is clearly and dramatically biased against U.S. liberty, conservatism, the U.S. Constitution, and the Second Amendment explicitly, do you not think that every single time a homeowner was killed with his own weapon, it would be front page news? You go and search the newspapers, go search the headlines, go search the police blotters, and go search the statistics, and you will discover that the claim that you are more likely to be killed with your own gun relies exclusively on the inclusion of suicide statistics, and even then is incorrect. Far more self-defense situations occur where the armed citizen comes out better than they would have otherwise because they were armed than even gun violence occurrences, including suicide. But but when they make the claim that you're more likely to be killed with your own firearm than to use it in self-defense, they're including the statistic of suicide, which is a completely misleading way to calculate that particular claim. Like I said yesterday, numbers never lie, but liars love numbers. Oh, I thought I was waiting for Cameron to say something else, but it appears that he's just frozen in place. That means we're probably about to lose the feed. We're going to have more technical difficulties. Guys, I'm just going to go ahead and call it. Cameron can go to work all by himself. Y'all be safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow at the gun buyback if you're so inclined to come out and get on camera. Talk to you soon. Be safe, and don't fry bacon naked.